Hey, it's Jared. I wanted to talk about a situation that I see a lot of camera operators and cinematographers get themselves into, and that is taking on too much camera for the environment that they find themselves in. These days, video production is much more accessible as the cost of equipment has come down. It's a lot easier to use, and that means smaller budgets have opened us up to a wider range of clients. And so we find ourselves shooting often in situations where the budget does not allow for a built-out team and having camera operators, first ACs, people paying attention to audio, all sorts of different things. There's somebody for everything. Those bigger shoots are great, but a lot of us find ourselves on shoots where we have to wear multiple hats and often wear them all at the same time. And so there's this concept I learned as a pilot of getting behind the aircraft. If you've gotten behind the aircraft, you have lost control of the aircraft, and you may be close to a situation that you're unable to recover from. I have seen this situation quite often, and it can be quite frustrating when you want to have the best equipment for a type of environment, and you want to go for a certain look. You've maybe drank a little bit of the online Kool-Aid, and you end up going with a really awesome camera that can accomplish a lot, but the environment that you find yourself in is a little bit more than you can take on while also managing the camera. And so you end up kind of falling behind the camera a little bit. Maybe you can't seem to get exposure nailed, or pulling focus is becoming a little bit challenging because you're paying attention to too many different things. You've fallen behind the camera and you're missing shots. Now, when I first got started shooting video, I was shooting weddings, and getting behind the camera, you couldn't do that because otherwise you were missing moments that couldn't be replicated. When you're shooting commercials and stuff, a lot of times you can ask for additional takes, even if you missed that shot. Low budget stuff, a lot of the clients are used to multiple takes, and so it's probably not a problem. But you want the most authentic take that you can get. And if you need multiple takes out of your client, you're not going to get the most authentic take out of them. They're not professionals either. You're asking them to step into a world that's already making them uncomfortable. And so if you're behind the camera, you're unable to capture them authentically, and you are not getting the types of shots that you really desire. So being able to shoot with a cinema lens and the features that a cinema camera would have start to become things that are not as important. And so having the features that a camera like this has end up getting in the way because you've fallen behind the camera and you're unable to maintain control of the situation. And I find myself in those situations at times when the environment is something that's new or uncontrollable, when I've never worked with a client before, when there's some heavier expectations put on me that aren't necessarily camera related. I need to make sure and choose the equipment that I can be confident using in the environment that I find myself in. And so that's when I end up choosing something like an FX3 instead, because I can rely on manual focus if I'm going to be hand holding some shots. I can rely on shutter priority mode if the environment is going to change a little bit and I'm not 100% sure how to respond to it. Those are challenging things to do solo on a camera like this. And if I start to fall behind the camera, then that's going to be noticeable in the shots that I'm capturing. And if you fall behind the camera, the first thing that's probably going to go is the sharpness of your shot, because you're manually focusing the camera while trying to maintain everything else, and you're looking at the screen really quickly, maybe relying on focus peaking, and everything looks pretty close, it looks good, but you can't really just focus on that one thing because you're focusing on audio levels. Is my shot still composed? Did my subject move? The lighting's changing a little bit. Too many things going on. Then the first thing to go is your exposure. Second thing to go is probably going to be your audio, because while you might be monitoring and listening to the audio, you're also looking around the camera, thinking about different things, second guessing things maybe, and not listening to the audio, and a little hum in the background or something that's going to be challenging to remove, or maybe even the subject saying a word incorrectly. You might not notice some things that you typically could ask for a second take on, and then later on having to explain yourself because something went wrong with the shot and it was your job to make sure that nothing went wrong with it. So it's really important to think about the gear that you're using. Yes, it's big and impressive to shoot with a camera like this. People are wowed by big cameras that are way beyond what they see on the daily basis. But what it comes down to is, can you get the shot that they want? It's definitely fun to show up with a big piece of equipment that's impressive, and it really makes everybody feel like you know what you're doing. But again, the number one thing that I see happen quite often is that somebody went and used more of a camera that they can handle based on the environment. And that's not a knock on any person as a camera operator. You may know everything that there is to know about the camera and the features and how to operate it. But when you get in a situation, can you pull from all of that knowledge and apply it without getting behind the camera and missing other things that are going on? And that's where it's really important to have self-awareness and know what your capabilities are, especially when you are under stress. How do you know what your capabilities are when you're under stress? Well, it's getting yourself in those situations and seeing what happens. Maybe it's going and filming something for free on a camera that is a bit more than you're used to using to see if you're able to respond and manage the environment, or be a second shooter, go and assist on something and run a second camera, do BTS content, something like that that gives you experience shooting in an environment with a little bit more forgiveness. So if you do make some mistakes, it's acceptable. What is unacceptable is a client paying you money with expectations to receive a certain deliverable and not getting the quality that they were promised because you fell behind the camera, missed some shots, and didn't know that until it was too late. But Jared, you'll say, there are features on this camera that I absolutely need that the FX3 doesn't have. And I will say, yes, there are. There are lots of great things that this camera has. Not only is it super modular, but it has all the native things that you would want in a cinema camera. But none of those things are going to matter when you end up missing some shots. I've done some shoots on smaller cameras where that client's worked with cinematographers before who had big impressive cameras but were not impressed with the quality of work that they got. And it's definitely not the camera's fault. It is the operator's fault. The cameras are fantastic, and these days you cannot pin it on the camera. The camera is a tool, and it's a tool in the hand of a content creator, a DP, a cinematographer, whatever you want to title it. And it's that person's job to wield the tool appropriately and capture what they need so that they can deliver on the promises that were made. That is the business of video production. So with this video, I feel like I'm part dad telling you to be realistic. I'm part coming to you from long years of experience, and then also just trying to make sure that I'm okay myself with using a camera like the FX3 because I know that it's the best option based on the environment that I find myself in. Knowing that I can use a camera like this when I'm in a more controlled environment that I'm more comfortable in, because I know its feature set is superior, but ultimately recognizing that features are only good if I have the capability to put those features to use. So if you're a confident video creator thinking about moving up to a cinema style camera, I highly recommend it, but I want you to keep in the back of your mind that there is the potential to get behind the camera, bite off a little bit more than you can chew in a situation and miss the shots that you wanted, because a camera like this deserves attention. And if you can't give it the attention, it's not going to give you the shots that you want. And that's coming from someone with a lot of experience who has gotten behind the camera a few times and has also experienced many others who have gotten behind the camera as well and been unable to deliver the shots that they had promised. Don't be that camera operator. Operate within your pocket, your comfort zone, that area of flow in which you are operating the camera and the camera is not operating you. If this video is resonating with you, let's talk about it down in the comment section below. Give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and I hope to see you back in another one soon. Take care.